recording. Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah. So welcome to Live with Marcy and Amy, the Heart-Centered Woman. We're so excited. Amy and I have such a special program in mind for you today. And before we begin that, I guess we should do our housekeeping, right? Anyone who comes in, please turn your mics off and make certain that they remain off until the end when Amy and I will take live questions. Also, if you do not want to be part of the recording, turn your camera off, okay? Because otherwise you will be part of the recording and, you know, these recordings are archived. So just know that there are parts of this that you can choose to participate in or not. And with that, welcome. Again, welcome to Live with Marcy and Amy, the Heart-Centered Woman. Today, we're talking about new beginnings, shaking up your energy, how to awaken your courage and create your possibilities as the new empowered you. And Amy, I know you had some things that you wanted to add, right?
Yeah, well, first I want to add, I don't know if everybody knows each other, but I'm Amy Shade. We should do our introductions. Yeah, I'm Amy Shade. I am a women's life coach, and I am the creator of the Radical Embodiment Method. Marcy, I am also, of course, a co-host with Marcy on the show that we do every month. We do a new Live with Marcy and Amy for women by women so that you can really get empowered in your life to create like new visions for your life, new goals, to actually question what might not be serving you. And so I have been a coach for many years, starting as a dance instructor coach and into now life coaching, and also coaching teenagers in their academics. And so I'm so excited to be here today, to be of service with you, to you, help you, to answer your questions, to share my stories about, you know, even what we're going through right now, because this is one of the things I was like, I'm going through some stuff right now. Like it is coming at me in every direction. And the person who I used to be would have handled it different. And so this is the important lesson of what's in that gap, who I am now, and how that has really transformed my life as things are coming my way. So Marcy, introduce yourself to everyone out there.
So I'm Marcy Newman. I'm known as the Heart Shift Coach. And like Amy, you know, my position now and how I support people has changed tremendously. I've been in this work for nearly 50 years. And what a transition it has become. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing to me. And I think it speaks to a lot of what Amy and I want to talk about today. And so I'm also known, as I said, the Heart Shift Coach. And heart shifting is something we'll also talk about, but essentially, heart shifting is giving yourself permission to change the way you feel about something. You know, I'm sure that you have been told over and over, you know, your emotions don't define you. Well, your emotions are wonderful roadmaps, but not only do they not define you, they're constantly calling for you to shift from one place to another, because that is how we shift our vibrational frequency that gives us access to new information. And it's the new information that has brought both Amy and I here to where we are today, and it's brought you here. It's why you're here. You would not be here without having already heart shifted in your own way and given yourselves permission to live life differently. So with that, so before we jump into new beginnings and shaking up that energy, awakening your courage to create your possibilities, As a new empowered you, I want to share just a quick little quote with you, just to set our vibrational tone. We must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. The old skin has to be shed before the new one can come. And that's from Joseph Campbell, one of my absolute favorite authors. And with that, Amy and I actually would like to, well, Amy, you want to talk about our sponsor this month?
Yeah, I do. Our sponsor this month is Trinity Travel. And we are excited to partner with them because they're so generous, right? They're actually offering our audience $100 gift card for hotels. And I went on that website and it's like, you can book a hotel and use the coupon and it'll take a percentage off of your hotel stay. And so I thought that's a beautiful, beautiful gift for our audience who you could share it with your friends, or you don't have to only, you could give it to your loved ones, and so that they can actually save a little bit of dinero, so to save a little bit of money on their travels. Some of it's a lot of money on their travels. So
that's right. Yeah.
But I also want to say to everyone in the audience to take out a pen and paper and to jot down any ideas or thoughts or questions that come up as we are sharing, because this program is really about you and how we can support you. And we did this especially like a masterclass format because, we want you to feel like you've walked away with something that is important to you, right? That's going to help you today. And so, and if something's like really, you just can't wait, you can put in the chat box also your questions, and then that way we can address them as we go or at the end. It depends on what I think Marcy said at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we can take, during, if they're really starting to pile up, we can take some. But, the most important thing is that, that this month, this format was created just for you. Yeah. It is completely interactive. We are here to support you. We are fully recognizing what is going on, what's going on within you, what's going on in the world. And we're all here together to support each other and to help to bring forward some tools that'll help us all to navigate and to allow ourselves to experience it. And I think that that's one of the most important things. So Amy and I, when we were talking about this, we decided also we want to do a recap about last month. Last month was so powerful. And by the way, Savannah, who is our wonderful assistant here, can put our YouTube, is that what it is, Amy? The
YouTube
link?
Channel link. Yeah. So you can subscribe to it.
You can
visit it. Yeah.
Yeah.
To our YouTube channel.
And last month's program, which was all about cycles of life, I think is a perfect segue into today. So let's start talking about these cycles a little bit and why they're essential that we recognize them. You want to start, Amy?
Yeah, I think, you kind of hit it on the head. Sometimes, we grow up, we're conditioned to think that, our life is going to be a certain way. And that we have this idea about certainty and this idea about being concrete in our thoughts, being concrete in our beliefs. And those are the very things that are actually counterintuitive to life, because life is a cycle. Everything is a cycle. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Relationships, our body, our thoughts are all like, everything kind of changes. And if we start looking at life and circumstances as cycles, and to really look at something and look at a situation and go like, where in this circumstance is this cycle? Is it beginning? Is it the beginning? Is it the middle or the end? Is it time to let it go? Is it time to lay it down? if it's at the beginning, is it time to set it up nice and so that I am as clean, palette as empowered as possible to start a relationship or a business or a job? Where am I in a cycle of life? But I do believe that once we start thinking in terms of cycles, because nothing stays forever. Nothing in physical form or in our life stays forever. Our energy, our soul stays forever and it transfers. So that's something else. But there's nothing ever, anything that stays forever, the same.
So what do you think the dangers are about trying to hold on to something that's no longer serving you?
Well, obviously, I think it's most prevalent in our relationships with our partners. We're holding on to something that just is like the boat is sinking and we're like paddling, we're trying to like keep it afloat. And I have found in my life that is not what I choose to ever do. Mm-hmm. If the boat's sinking, I usually let it go. I let it sink. Because it takes away years off of my life to try to save something that's sinking. And so I think that's the most prevalent thing in women's lives is that they keep holding on to things that are really on its way down, and somehow we believe we're capable of saving it.
That's the plight of the woman, right?
So, I
mean, the fixer. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Woman. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've been in that situation. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone else out there has been in that situation, believing if we change, we do this, we do that, we do this. If we work harder, if we try harder, if we love more, if we do this, it's going to save this sinking item. Yeah. And, I look at it as a cycle.
So absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And, I think what's important is for us to realize that any time that we forget that there are cycles and that this is a natural occurrence that happens in everything, and we just look at the seasons, right? Mm-hmm. The change of seasons, it's a cycle. Everything has cycles. But when we forget that, we start to cling to the past in the way where, as you're describing, we are believing that only the past exists. We're forgetting that there is a future. Mm-hmm. But when we cling to this vision that the past is our only hope for a future, we will never experience the future that can only be created from us letting go of what was in the past. And this, as you said, a lot of women get stuck in this, but it's not just in relationships. It's in many things, It can be in, something even, Amy, that you're going through right now. I know you're giving up, your family home, the home that you grew up in. And, I'll let you talk about that rather than me.
Again, you don't want to talk about you. Okay, I will tell you, yes, I'm, a lot of things are coming at me right now, and in all directions, relationships and money, work, all that. So, but one of the big things is my mother, my mother's got moved. I went in there and did an insurrection, took her out, put her into Oregon, and I'm left with going through our family home and letting go of things that I need to let go of so we can sell it and take care of my mom. And so, but it was interesting because what came up for me is this idea of home. That was all San Diego. That's where I grew up, was always my home. And I was like, I'm not gonna have a home. Where's my home base? Who's my emergency contact going to be, right? Like, where is this all at? I am left homeless. I'm here by myself. I'm not here by myself, but my dad's here, but it's like being by myself. All my family's gone at this point. They've all moved out of California. And so I'm really being challenged with this idea of home, a home base where I belong. And as I'm clearing this out and I'm realizing I need to let go of this idea of home. Because if I let go of this, if I don't, I won't be able to ever create a home for myself. And so it's been a process, and I've been going down every couple of weeks, 2 weeks to go clear it out. But it's been a beautiful process of getting rid of that idea of home.
Well, I think I think what's important also is, in recognizing that as we are letting go of something so substantial, there is a cycle to that, right? There's a process to that. And I know for myself, having given up my family home, both the one that I grew up in and also my marital home that my children grew up in, very difficult. And it required that I allow myself to actually go through a grieving process. And I think that that's a lot of what we actually need to talk about. And by the way, I just want everyone here today, or who might be listening to the replay of this, but at the end of the year, Amy and I always do a special show on grieving. And it's very, very powerful. So I just want to touch upon it now, though, because grieving is something that very few people recognize that they have to set time aside for and give themselves the space and the permission to experience it fully. We're so ingrained in this society to ignore what has been actually hardwired within us to help us to heal. Grieving is a metabolic process. It's actually part of what I call heart shifting. It is how we go from one energy frequency into another. You must be willing to let go of whatever was in that previous frequency. And there are parts of it that you will grieve. What is grieving? It's when we're giving up the hopes, the dreams. It's when we're giving up even giving up the disappointments of it. It is the process of giving up the fantasies of it, giving up grieving the parts of you that you gave up. And Amy, you spoke about this, when we are in a relationship way too long and we start to contort ourselves in order to be able to stay, we have given up the most important parts of ourselves in doing that. We've shushed those down, shrunk them down, quieted them down in order to do what? Try to survive essentially in a foxhole, because we're waiting. We're just waiting for those bombs to drop because we feel unsafe. And we know we're unsafe because we haven't gone through the grieving. And this is something that it sounds complex. And yet when we allow ourselves these very natural cycles and we allow ourselves to go through it in whatever way it asks of us, we give ourselves permission to be present within and give ourselves permission then to shift energies that then allows us to continue to let things go that aren't serving us. And only then can we really start to step into creating. So anything you want to say about grieving, Amy?
Yeah, so this is an interesting exercise, because when I close my eyes, and you can do this with me, when you close your eyes and you think about the word grief, like what images come up for you? When you think about the word grief or grieving, what images come up? And it's interesting because for me, one of the images come up is the woman throwing herself on the coffin, crying, right? This is one of the things that come up. I think it's universal when we think about grieving. And also, I see a woman in a black shawl who has, turned off everyone and everything. And that's her identity. This woman in a black shawl, she's walking through life in grief. And which oftentimes keep us away from grieving because we believe it needs to look like that. And I invite people to reframe the word grieving and to create systems that work for you in the grieving process. Because those very images keep us from the process of grieving because we don't want to lose control, right? We're afraid. If that's what grief looks like for me, I'm like, I don't want to go there. So we must start like creating our own process of grief that works for us. And, this is an important aspect because, people try to tell us how to do things all the time. And there's also science behind it and everything else. But sometimes we don't, like for me, when I grieved my fiance who passed away, I didn't go through the stage of anger. I didn't feel any anger. And that's okay. I don't have to feel anger just because it's written, this is how many stages of death? You need to go through all these stages. I didn't feel any anger. And that's okay. And I get to grieve the way I want to grieve. And I think when we set up a system that works for us and like explore grieving and get rid of those images that keep us from the process is very important.
Yeah, very important. And I like how you said, create your own system for addressing grieving. But it first has to start with you accepting grieving. You have to accept that grieving is natural. So you spoke about your fiance. Next week is actually 12th year anniversary that my son was killed. And I can feel that I'm being drawn into my grief again. Now, it's not to say that it happens only once a year on the anniversary of his passing. What I've noticed and what I've created for myself is this, I've given myself like a hall pass, right? Permission slip that whenever I feel grief connected to anything, here's what I do. And some of you may have heard this before. I actually schedule a cry day, typically a Saturday or Sunday, and I make sure I have nothing going on for at least 4 hours. And I will purposely either look through photos, I'll watch a movie that I know is going to bring me to tears, I'll be journaling. All of these things that I've learned will help me to bring up the tears and then bring up what is lying on my heart, actually asking to be released. It's asking to be let go of. And so what I do, like I said, I'll do whatever is necessary to stimulate the tears, and then I allow the emotion to come forward and let it be whatever it is. Sometimes, Amy, in that I will feel anger. Sometimes in that I'll feel this deep sadness. Sometimes all of a sudden, and I've described this before, there's going to be this little leak of joy. It'll just pop up there. But I'll go back in and I'll see, okay, wait, are you finished? Have you gotten through that grieving? And like I said, most of the time when I open myself up, it's not associated with my son. It is associated with other things in my life that I must also grieve. And I've learned that whatever comes up literally is waving its hand and saying, pick me, pick me. And so I'll stay with the process for, I give myself usually about 2 hours, 3 hours max. And then the rest of the time it's soothing. It is caring for myself. I'll go for a massage. I'll take a nice hot bath. I'll go for a walk in nature. And these are the things that we actually we deserve to be creating for ourselves. Because as Amy was saying, there's grief associated with giving up your home, your childhood home. There is grieving that needs to be done as you're letting go of a career, of a job that you've put your heart and soul into. There's grieving over all kinds of relationships. But the deepest grief needs to come from the part where it is your relationship with you. Because that's then and only then where the healing can begin. And like I said, Amy and I do a special program every single December on grieving. And this year, we, of course, will be doing the same. But Amy.
Well, I want to, because you hit something that I think is important, because it's important that in the work that I do and that you do, which is, to ask yourself, what do you need? Now, it's interesting because I'm just going to give a little process if I can. It's like when you sit by yourself and you go to quiet and you feel something in your body, which, every thought you have lives in your body. Every thought that you have lives in your body. And this is what we forget. And so if you have some tension, if you have some sadness, if you have some anxiety, to sit with self and to really go into that area where you feel it, and to ask yourself, to ask it, what do you need right now? Going to that part that's in pain and to ask it. This is embodiment work, right?
That's right.
To go in there and just allow for that part to speak to you, because it's wise. It will tell you what it needs. It will tell you how it's feeling. It'll tell you, we have not been taught to listen to our body, but it's full of wisdom. So as we reflect on this word like grief, right? Or we reflect on a pain or reflect on a relationship and you feel something in your body, it could be tension in your shoulders, in your neck, in your solar plexus. Mine's always in my solar plexus in my heart center. But to go to that spot, sit quietly and just let it talk to you, because it will speak. And to ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do you need right now? Might be a part of your inner child, but what do you need right now? And let it talk to you, because information will come to you. And it's information that's from you.
That's right.
You, the true you that's in your body,
right. Yeah.
And I just wanted to hit on that because I thought that's an important point you brought up.
Yeah. And I think that that also is absolutely essential to remember that everything that we need to know is in our body. And it really is. Like I said, it's like raising its hand, pick me, set me free. Right?
Yeah.
And so often we let the fear of what we think is going to be the pain.
Oh, yeah.
We let the fear of the pain dictate whether or not we allow it to be healed. When, from my mother's term, that's completely ass backwards, because when we don't address it, that's when we really experience pain, because then it's pain in our body, pain in our mind, right? It is relentless. And we experience the pain of feeling stuck. We experience the pain of not being able to be present within ourselves because we keep blocking those parts off. We can't be present with another person. We can't be present in that career. We can't be present with what it is that we're trying to create, because you have completely imprisoned part of you because you're afraid that it's going to be painful for you to let it out. And you will spend the rest of your life in pain because you have not let it out. And I can guarantee if you'll just do what I do, schedule yourself some cry days. Whenever I start to feel that emotion, this is how you can tell. Like when you start to notice that you get teary-eyed very easily, and all of a sudden the emotion starts to well up, you're ready for a cry day. No shame in that. Just let yourself do whatever you need to do to release that energy. And then you really set yourself free.
And I will have to say that many of us who have been in a space of anxiety or feeling out of control or not able to, just going through some serious trauma, that we're afraid that we're going to slip back into that. And that's often the fear of why we don't go into ourselves. But everyone on this call, I could almost guarantee that most of you, if not all of you, are investing in yourself. Mm-hmm. I know that because you're here.
That's right.
And so who you were yesterday is not who you are today. And that we can handle it. Who you are today, most of us can handle it. Like, I used to be afraid to experience it because I thought it would take me back to when I couldn't get off the couch.
Right.
But I'm a totally different person now. That's not even, I don't even know if that's a possibility for me anymore at this point. I'm not testing anything, universe. I'm just, I don't want to test anything. But anyways, I think where we are now with new beginnings, right? We're in this new beginnings of how you can't, it's almost, the foundation has to be strong in a new beginning, and and that happens when you let go of the past, of the relationship, of the beliefs, of the thoughts, of this controlling of self and others, whatever it is. This is what transformation is actually all about, is actually the letting go. I think to me, that's been the biggest lesson. The transformation is not about always the moving forward as much as it's the letting go.
I think you're right. Yeah. And I think it's, it seems to be the biggest fear that people have, mm-hmm. and the biggest challenge, because very often people have a belief that they don't know how to let go. When in fact, of course, you know how to let go. It's hardwired within you. And this grief that Amy and I are talking about, it is a natural response to you, and a natural response to one cycle ending and the next cycle beginning. So it's when we come back into our hearts, we come back into the naturalness of our being, that we can easily let go. Now, it's not to say that you won't experience emotion. That's not what I'm referring to when I say easy. But what I'm saying is that easily let go, because what is ready to come up and be let go of will show itself to you. It wants to be let go. And so this device that you have within you to be aware of that, okay, you'll get all the signs and symptoms. I have to let that go. I'm contorting myself, trying to stay. That voice that's telling you it's over, follow me. All of that, these things come together to tell you, time to let that go. Here's how you can do it. Like Amy said, everything is in your body. Your body will tell you. I know for myself, like I said, sometimes I have to schedule out crying days. But I'm not spending the whole day crying. I'm giving myself a couple of hours to get what needs to come out. And then I give myself the self-care that will soothe my nervous system again. It prepares me then for creating new life. So one of the things that happens when we don't let go is we're in a constant state of what I described before, being in this foxhole, waiting for the world to come crashing down on you because you have not soothed your nervous system. Your system is on alert. And that feeling of, being on alert all the time, there's only one way to get beyond that. And that is to finally wave that white flag, surrender to what needs to be let go of. And you will be shown everything that you need to do that. Sometimes it might be, going for a run, go for a swim. What I will say is this: the letting go process is one that will put you in isolation. When you need to really let go, you need to do it quietly within yourself. When you are with others, they suddenly become a distraction and a diversion. And it's also one of the issues that a lot of people set themselves up actually to fail in letting go, because they don't give themselves time to be alone and be in the silence. And this is where, even if you're listening to music and journaling, whatever it takes, but it does take you being by yourself. You find that too, Anne?
Yes, I do. And I also, I remember being years ago, when I was really in the patriarchal way of being, like this masculine way of being, and this idea, surrender was weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Man, has that shifted. I mean, things are, I'm like, I give in, I give up, Mother God, just take it. I'm not even going to enter into that. I surrender.
Yeah.
I give up. That has been another powerful lesson from someone who, you might not see it now, but someone who is like quick-witted, freaking like a personality, freaking, I'll shut you down in 2 seconds. You want to fight? Let's go. And now I'm like, I'm not even going to put my hat in that game, because I don't see a way out for me that's going to help me.
Yeah.
I don't see a way through this that's going to be loving or be open, or, when someone asks me to be confrontational at this point in my life, like let's say 90% of the time to 90%, 99%, let's give myself a little bit of a leeway because I'm human. You just won't get it from me. And what you'll get is usually an apology. I'm sorry that if you feel like I'm doing something to you, this is not my intention. I will go straight into surrender. I will go straight into, I don't know what to say about this. I apologize if I'm offending you, or whatever it is. That is such a huge shift of who I used to be, in that fighting mode of not letting go, of trying to control people, trying to control circumstances, trying to control the outside world. None of that belongs to me. Only thing that belongs to me is me. That's it. Everything else will come and go. Everything else is on a cycle. I'm on a cycle too, as I'm learning and letting go. But this is the only cycle that I'm really invested in. I'm not invested in other people's things that I feel like I need to go in and control them. I can observe them. I can be there for them, but I'm not trying to control them. So I do believe that letting go is something that if we become very good at it, it makes our life easier. It makes our life more grounded. And I don't know about other people's lives might not be easier, but our life is easier. And if you're looking for that peace, if you're looking for that getting rid of uncertainty and indecision and fear and anxiety, you must let go of other people. They are on their own path and you are on yours. And I don't care, whether they're your daughter, your son, your father, your mother, everyone has their individual path that they get to really figure out for themselves.
No, that's absolutely right. And you bring up such a good point. The letting go process is an individualized process, but it requires that you have put the effort into developing a relationship with yourself. This is the relationship of really creating an intimacy within yourself so that you know what all of this is speaking to you about. So you learn to interpret the language of you as a soul and the language of you as a human with that interpretation and sort of bringing it into form. And it's the most amazing thing. But again, so often we're caught up in living life, right? Going from one thing to the other, a constant schedule, a constant, with blinders on, where we literally have no idea what's happening in our environment, let alone in our internal environment. And this is why, being in the silence within yourself will give you everything that you need in order to get from where you are to where you want to be. But it requires a willingness. And this is a willingness that you have to cultivate. You actually have to cultivate it. You have to be courageous and say, I love myself enough to carve this time out. I love myself enough to reach for what I need. I love myself enough to stay home tonight rather than, going out with my friends, and not giving it any other reason than to just be with yourself. That's an amazing, it's almost like a light switch goes on. The moment that you stop making excuses for yourself as to why you're doing this and simply are willing, I'm doing this because I love myself. I'm doing this because that spirit within me needs to talk to me and I need to hear it. I'm doing this because I deserve to have this time, and I know my power comes, my empowerment is my success.
And I want to, if I could, can I jump in or no?
What, Anne?
Can I
There
jump
you
in?
go.
There
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is what I think also, I love what you said, but I think we need to add our values, because we need to get clear on our values and why they're important to us, because those are oftentimes the things that I cling to, I go to once I start going out of integrity to my vision, to my thoughts, to my dreams. I go straight to my values. Is this aligned with my values? Because that's very helpful for me personally, because I do not like being out of integrity. That's like, what? No, I don't like that. So for me, when you know your values, those are your safety nets. Those are the things that you can actually grab a hold of and be like, because our body might want something. Our mind might want something. It happens to me all the time. But I say, but that doesn't go with my value over here of like
Right.
honesty, or like, being honest, or being open, or being free, or, being peaceful. That's not aligned with my values over here. So Our bodies desire things. They'll, you get that pull in the morning for something, or you get that pull for someone, whether it's your daughter, your son, your lover, your husband, your wife, whatever it is. Our bodies pull us towards someone, or sometimes our mind pulls us towards things that are not healthy for us. And so getting those clear values worked out, those are the things you go to. Those are the things you make more important than anyone else, because those are yours. So anything that's yours is what's important. Those are the things that actually will save you from going in a direction that, you don't want to necessarily go, that will mess up your new beginnings, that won't allow you to begin anew. That won't allow you to explore like what's next. Right. And so I would say everyone out there, get really clear on those values, put them up on the wall, and make those your home. Like those are your guiding light. That's it. If it's not aligned with that value, I'm not going to do it. 99% of the time. Sometimes we make, we go in there with it, but it's like, we're human, right? But those are things that should be, I found have helped me big time in my life. In letting go and in starting anew.
Yeah. And just a little bit of an aside there. I love that you brought in the values. I think that that's also essential. And I think, part of the letting go actually requires that you know what those values are. And I have sort of two distinguished categories of values. I have personal values and I have spiritual values. And what I know is this: I've developed some personal values that have helped me to get to where I am, to what I'm doing. And my integrity with those values is something that really helps me to feel secure in my accountability to myself. But I also want you to know that my personal values may change. My personal values may change depending on the circumstance. And I'll just give you an example. Let's say, for instance, that I have a value of honesty, right? And it has served me so well. It actually happens to be one of my values. It has served me so well. I'll give it to you. Whatever it is that I feel is important for me to speak, I will speak. But let's say I'm in a war-driven country and I have no way of feeding my child. And I find that I have to steal, an apple or a piece of bread or something in order to feed them. That's a personal value that is shifted because of my circumstance. A spiritual value is one that I know will hold true under every circumstance. And it's those values that I look at as a guiding light when it comes to letting go, when it comes to grieving, and when it comes to my new beginnings. So Amy and I have spoken about this before. At the top of my list is freedom. Freedom is actually a spiritual value. It shares the same vibrational frequency of love. Love and freedom, you experience them the same. They're in the same energy wave. And so when I'm looking to let go of something, I use that as my guiding light, because under no circumstances does that ever waver. I can always say, under this circumstance, freedom, under this circumstance, freedom. So I just want to encourage you to explore those within yourself. What's your personal value? What's your spiritual value? And how do I align my life with that? And so with that, I think we can start to talk about, how do we create a new beginning? Amy, I have a question for you, actually.
Oh, good. If anyone out there is writing down your questions, right, make sure you write down any questions that you have also, because I'm getting questioned right now too. So here we go.
Great. Good.
Bring your questions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Amy, when it comes to new beginnings, do you believe that that new beginning is waiting for us? Or do you believe that we create it as we go along?
I think the thing about it is that when you are in life, right? I do believe universe is giving us little hints along the way. She's I'm going to say she, because mother universe is dropping hints along the way. And it's interesting because I'm an artist. I've been living my life as an artist for ever. And there's something about the evolution of class, like being in a class situation all the time. I'm a dancer, educator, going back to school, all these things that I've gone through after Frank's death, my fiance's death. I went back to school, I got my coaching certification, started my business, all these things that are kind of like in these cycles of moving forward. There has been little hints throughout all of it to where I am right now. So I do believe that universe is guiding me in a certain direction based on my purpose and my mission in life. Mm-hmm. But remember, I'm the steward of my destiny. That means if I was unable to give up my marriage back in 2003 or 1 when I got married, if I didn't give that up and I would have fought for that there, and I would have stayed there, and I would have just wasted my life there, would I be here? I don't know. The only reason why I'm here is because I chose to say I'm leaving in 3 days. Right? And that led me to finding Frank. We fell in love right away. And then that to his death, and then into going back to school, and into, so all of these things this road that I've been on, there is connection throughout, but the main thing is I let go. I didn't fight for something that wasn't mine to fight for. I chose me above everybody else. And I believe that came from being a dancer, being an artist, also being born a certain type of person that was like, feisty at the beginning. But, I do believe that universe does drop us gifts, hints, opportunities, but we must choose us. We must decide that, yes, we're going to start something new. We're going to end this so we can start something new. We have a huge responsibility to self on this earth. I truly believe that when you watch someone pass away from you, you realize it's my responsibility to create a happy, loving life. This is my responsibility to do this for myself. And that's my belief. I do believe that it is there for you, and it is being guided, but it's being guided by your own personal self and mission, and Mother God is there support. Universe is there to support you in that journey. How about you, Marcy?
Well, one of the things that I was thinking as I was listening to you speak is that what you're describing is almost like there really isn't a new beginning. That it's almost like there's this continuation of these cycles, right? And we know that we've been introduced to the concept that life is in a spiral, right? Just this constant spiral, this connection of cycles, one connecting to the other and the other and the other. And I think it's such an important concept that people recognize that life is a continuum. wherever you're living it, life is a continuum. And I know, and I'm saying this because I know that people have been misguided into believing that new beginnings require that you're all in. All right, this is a new beginning. I have to, just let go of everything. I have to step into this. And it's almost like you're stepping from one box to another box, to another box, to another box. That's not it. It is being fluid. It is being present within yourself so that you're recognizing the fluidity of your own creation. And yes, of course, you have this aspect of self. We call it the higher self, right? Which knows exactly what you're here to share with the world, knows your gifts, and it knows what sort of circumstances are going to excel in bringing you forward. And that's what I sort of look at all of these different opportunities, in life as. But one thing that I've come to recognize is that whatever is my new beginning at any given moment started long before I recognized it. When people say, all of a sudden, I was just there, it's only because you weren't aware. You weren't aware of what was happening, right? I look at myself, I have so many examples of how I knew that this was happening. I'm even going to, I've never shared this before, but I'm going to be very bold and share this. I even knew that Jacob was going to be passing over, and he and I spoke about it. He had had 2 near-death experiences, and he was a healer and very aware. And I said, you realize the universe is asking you a question. It's like throwing the gauntlet, and you're being asked the question whether or not you want to stay. And he said, I know, Mom. And I said, okay. Didn't ask what his response was, didn't ask what he thought about it or how he felt about it. It was important to me that he knew that that's what was happening. Like I said, he had had 2 near-death experiences within a year. And when we had that conversation, it was clear to both of us. There was something going on that was bigger than both of us. There was a question being asked. And I'm sharing that because we are aware of these subtleties of unfolding when we allow ourselves to be aware of them. And when we can allow ourselves to observe them rather than to be reactive to them, you're talking a whole other ballgame. This is now something where you realize you're a part of something so much greater than yourself. And for me, I feel empowered by that. I know that the universe has my back no matter what, and that it will always provide me with the information that I need in order to either choose to participate in that unfolding or pivot and go in a different direction. And it's the most phenomenal thing. And it's exactly what you were describing also, Amy, right? It was this knowingness. I don't belong in this marriage anymore. I had the same thing. I don't belong in this marriage anymore. I have outgrown it. And, being able to say, I'm leaving in 3 days. I'd love to see a show of hands of how many people in our audience have had those moments where they just knew. Raise your hand. You can go down into reactions at the bottom of your screen. How many of you have experienced that? You just knew. The jig is up.
I call it the pull up the carpet. it's the pull up the carpet moments.
Yeah.
I mean, I did
Yeah.
that with one of my exes. I was like, "You're out of here." And I called my best friend. I was like, "It's time to pull up the carpet." We pulled up the carpet in my
Yeah.
apartment and like sanded the floors. I was like, "That's it. You're out."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I do
Because-
want to, yeah,
Yeah. No, we have this knowingness.
yes.
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah.
want to kind of talk about something. Thank you for sharing that personal story, Marcy. I've not heard that
Yeah.
story either. So,
Yeah.
um, I think one of the misunderstandings we have is that we have to be ready. And so we
Mhm.
wait,
Yes.
we put things on hold. We wait for the right time till we have enough to write the money. We have the right amount of money. We have this. Instead of investing in the process, as it's really just a process. This evolution of life is always the process, and it doesn't happen overnight. What happens is it's slow, it's guided, it's intentional. And if we decide to move forward in our life like that with an intention to heal self, the intention to figure it out, the intention to invest in ourselves in a way that we get to know ourselves even more and let go of even more so that we're more free. When we let go, we're actually free. And we think if we hold on to things, we're free. No. we're safe. We have this, ability to be okay. But it's really when we let go, we feel actually more free and more stable and more open. So I invite everyone to. I often talk. I don't know. I'm sure you do too, Marcy. You talk to women who need to leave a relationship or a job or whatever it is, and they're waiting. And I didn't do that in my marriage. I didn't know I was going to leave my husband at the time, but I knew something was off, and I started going to my meditation classes every Monday. And that to me, at my women's group every Monday, and that to me helped me through the process of finally leaving. But just imagine if I would have said, it's not the right time for that class. It's not the right time to figure out what the hell's going on with me. Like, that's basically what I would have been saying. But I was like, oh no, I need to find out what's going on with me. I had no clue about, this was back in 2001. I had no clue about transformations, self-help, healing. I had no clue about any of that, but I knew something was wrong. I was like, this is not me. I need to figure this out. So I think it's important to invest in self and to know it's a process. You don't just because you go start the process doesn't mean you got to leave tomorrow. It's or quit your job tomorrow, or figure out your relationship with your daughter tomorrow. No. It's about learning about yourself and how to do it in a way that's loving for yourself, that is, really has the intention of goodness, the intention of doing the best you could do. That's when you really start getting into the cycle of life, and you go into this more feeling of being grounded and free and safe. Even as stuff, I am not in a safe position right now necessarily, but I feel real safe. Right? Things are coming at me, but I feel good. I don't feel out of control. So that's really the goal, because stuff will come. We're on earth. We live a human life. And so things will come. Challenges will come. That's not the point. The point is who we're being in those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up, once again, that point about how important that you're connected to your spiritual values, because I know that one of your spiritual values is peace. Peace is another one of those vibrational frequencies. It runs in the wave with love. And so what Amy is saying is that her stability comes from her ability to tune into peace, because she has cultivated it in her life. She has made all kinds of decisions and choices based on this is my most important value. And so she's so well acquainted with it that she can tune into it, even like now, as she's describing, she's got a lot of stuff coming at her. So that's a wonderful example of how powerful that is, to know your spiritual values and know that you can rely on them at all times. But there was something also when you were talking, Amy, I wanted to bring up, and that is, you know, how you were saying so many people just wait until they're this, wait until they're that, wait until they have this. You know, all these pieces have to be in place until they make the move. And I remember for myself, one of the big hangups I had, and it'll be curious to hear if anybody else has experienced this in our group today, is it took me a while to get past who I was going to be when I left my marriage. Who will I be if I'm not, you know, his wife? Who will I be if I'm not living where I was living? Who will I be if I'm not this, if I'm not that? Who will I be? And so that was when I started to learn about myself and how much of myself I had given over to what defined me. That, you talk about transformation. I went from like 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. The moment I realized that I was staying in this place, stuck, because I thought I needed to know who I was going to be when I was out of it. So in other words, I was trying to go from box A to box B and have all those little strings tied up before I left. No. What I discovered is that when I left, I got to be me. I got to be me. And, you know, it took a while for me to really get to know myself again, because I had given up so many parts of myself to stay in that marriage long after its time. And so I think that this is what a lot of us fall into. And again, whether it's a job, whether it's a marriage, a relationship, or even just in something that defines you. Yeah. What do you think? Should we see if anybody has any questions for us?
Yeah, but I also like,
You want to go a little further?
well, I'm just kind of interesting on this whole idea, like how it's just so interesting just how many of us have been, who are afraid of ourselves, like many of us, like how that's in us in such a way that, I mean, it's a shame. It's a sad, I mean, what a sad statement you made, right?
Mhm.
That you were afraid of even being yourself. And I think
Absolutely.
that is something that we all get to examine and question and be like, I mean, the ridiculousness of it all, if I could say it.
Yeah.
It's like, how ridiculous is that? And yet it exists.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we are tethered down by that. I don't even get it as you say it. I'm like, this is like a whoa. Okay. And as we stifle our voices, as we don't say what we want to say, it is so easy for us and ingrained in us. And I don't know. It's like, really? What the hell?
Yeah, it is a what the hell moment.
I didn't have an aha moment. I had a what the hell moment.
What the hell? Because I also, this other part of me was very much aware that I had, one of the reasons I was leaving is that there was no room for me in my own life. There was no room. Every time I tried to bring in these other parts of me that were like, you know, like dying to be heard, no pun intended, every time one of those would come closer and want to come to the forefront of my consciousness, it was like, whoa, wait a second, you stay over there where I don't have to look at you or hear you. So I was still very much aware that that was, at the basis of all of this. Wait a second, you've done a masterful job at creating this perfect life based on what everybody else wants and needs from you and expects from you, and fitting this perfect role, right? But where are you? Where are you? And like I said, every time I tried to introduce these parts of me that, I had suppressed and put little band-aids on so they wouldn't be too noisy or bleed too much, I was faced with so much pushback.
Oh yeah, a lot of
that-
pushback.
Lots of pushback where it was clear to me I could not be me
That's right.
in that marriage, in that life. And yet I was so afraid to be me.
Well, those days are gone.
Those days are gone. Here's to me.
Sayonara. Yeah, cheers. Like
Mhm.
seriously. It's just, yeah. Try to wrap your brain around that one.
Yep.
It's just too much.
But I think we all experience that.
Of
in
course.
some degree, in some way. And I invite everyone to start searching, it's one of the most important things, I think, for this whole letting go process is that we learn how to reflect without beating ourselves up.
Yeah.
We reflect for the purpose of determining what energy do we need to feed that has the potential to create what we want. It has nothing to do with beating ourselves up or becoming guilty or remorseful or shamed. None of that. It's all about, where do I pivot? What is the energy that will create what I want to experience? And we head into it. That's when we align with our new beginning. But as we both have said, that new beginning has already started, because you are a continuum of expansion constantly.
Yeah. Go towards the light.
Go towards light.
If you're going to go towards the darkness all the time, you're going to be
Yeah.
dark. So just
That's
go
right.
And unfortunately, we're trained to go towards the dark oftentimes.
Mhm.
Go towards the light. So, laughter, joy has higher energy than anxiety and fear. Okay.
That's right.
So we must keep going towards the light. And I believe that totally. I know it goes against other people's work, but I'm like, no, visit the dark, but go towards the light.
That's right.
You want to live in the light.
Take a look,
Take a look. Don't
but
judge.
don't stay there.
Stay there. And certainly don't judge yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
that's the problem. So
Yeah.
spend more time in the light than you do in the
Yeah.
dark. I
Yeah.
mean,
Perfect.
really. Okay. So let's, anyone have any questions or comments? Or
Yeah. Would
anything that
love
they
to
want to
hear
jump
from
in.
somebody. And you can either put it in the chat or just raise your hand. If you click on the reactions button, there's a little hand. You can just raise it.
Mhm.
But we would love to hear from you.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, thinking of that also, I'm going to put in our sponsor, they sent us, we'll wait on that. Go ahead,
Oh, we've got
Andrea.
it.
Andrea, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
We got two. Virginia, go
Okay.
first, and then Andrea.
Yep. Hey, Sue.
Virginia. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. Sue.
hey, Virginia Sue. I go by Sue. Hey, it's
Hey,
so good,
Sue.
Marcy.
Hi.
Oh, this question came to my mind. There's a phrase that I keep hearing is healing the soul. We have our soul's path and soul's journey, and we came here to do certain things, and we do things to heal the soul. And I'm thinking, wow, I wonder what that really is. Like, how does the soul get injured that we need to heal it? What is all that?
I want to jump in
Yay.
because from my perspective, our soul needs no healing. Our soul is already complete. It's not our soul. It's we are already whole. We are already complete. The soul is here to experience and expand in love. That's it. That's the whole purpose to everything we do. And I know, Amy, you're so good at this. Amy just gives herself permission to experience so many things in life. And I just love it because it is this, again, the spiritual value of freedom that allows us to experience life for the sole purpose of expanding the energy of love. Because in every experience, we have the choice. Do we follow love or do we go in the other direction? Because love has a specific path, and it's always one of expansion, always. Love never diminishes. And that's how you know you're on the right path. If you feel expansive and free, then it's yes.
Yeah, I agree totally. Your soul, you were born, and before you were born, your soul was already there. Your soul already existed, and that you came out as you should be, as you are. And there's
Yeah.
nothing, we are imperfection in our soul. It is the pain, the conditions, the thoughts, the ideas, the beliefs, all the outside world who often try to, I look at it because I'm a bit of a radical rebel. I look at it as they're trying to suppress me. So I follow their directions. My soul is like, no, Amy, this is not what we're here to do. We're not here to follow directions.
Yeah.
We're here to learn, expand, and grow in love.
That's right.
And
forge a path.
Yes. And so your soul is, Sue, is just as it is. It's as it will always be.
Yeah. And that's why we're having this incredible human experience, because as a soul without the body and without being on the earth plane, we don't have the experiences that provide the expansion the way we do here, because this is a world of duality. We're constantly in contrast with other energies. And so our expansion sometimes comes from pushing against, right? Like when you're at the gym and you're using weights to help you to form muscle, or it comes from alignment, just aligning with a higher vibrational frequency. And so for me, I try to practice alignment. If there's something that I want to shift out of, I am looking to realign my energy. And like Amy said, try to get a rise out of her, nearly impossible at this point, because she's worked at it. Her gym has provided her with the exercises so that she knows, she can feel when she has the option to go there. She just says, I'd rather not. And she is in a completely different realignment stage. That's heart shifting. What a great question, Sue.
Yeah, I love that question
it.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you for your answers.
Yeah.
Very beneficial, and to hear both of you and who you are. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank
Sue.
you.
Andrea, did you want to jump in? You can unmute yourself. Let's see. Oh, there you go.
Can you
Found
hear,
it.
can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah. Hey, Andrea.
Hey.
Hi. I was just listening to what you were saying and wanted to say thank you, because it's so funny how I've been working on my own practice and staying in a higher vibrational level, and how quickly you can be triggered. But I think it goes back to what Marcy was saying, that you have to sit with yourself. Again, I've been practicing discernment a lot, but you have to sit with yourself to really realign per se, as Marcy was saying. So I just wanted to say thank you from my heart to all of you that I'm able to join in on these calls and absorb this information and be around other like-minded people. So thank you.
Oh, you're so
Thank you.
welcome, and thank you for being here. And if I can just make another comment about that, that process of energy discernment, okay, is such an incredible re-education, because we are taught to ignore it. You are actually taught to diminish any of the symptomology that you get when you're confronted by energies that are outside of your frequency wave. And, you know, this begins at a very early age. We are taught to diminish ourselves, to not be so sensitive, to what are you talking about? That's not true, all of that. And so we diminish ourselves. We are diminished by those outside of ourselves. And the fact that you are working to discern energy is amazing, absolutely amazing. And it is total empowerment. You go, girl. That's awesome.
And I think when you were talking about, because I know she said, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, you're talking about disarmament. So I was talking to someone about disarming. There's a, disarming yourself. And so for someone who wore that shield and who had their warrior weapons ready, I was always armed and ready, right? I mean, I'd walk into any situation. I was like, I'm ready. Okay. Now that had nothing to do with how I really felt about myself, which was I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel secure. I didn't feel peace, right? So I would arm myself. And this is what we do. We arm ourselves because I can make me say we or I were like unwilling to admit that I didn't feel confident, or unwilling to say I need help, or unwilling to say I don't know what I'm doing here. And I didn't, and over sensitized to what other people did to me. I was in victimhood. So what I would do is arm myself, the warrior, the shield. And that's how I would walk in life. And the disarmament, being disarmed, is getting rid of all that and getting to self, so that I don't have to fight for anything. I'm already as is. There's nothing to fight about. There's nothing to cover up.
Right.
I don't have to put something in front of me. And when I'm with people, they can act, that's all gone. Now disarm myself. That's who I am now is who you're going to see consistently throughout all my relationships.
Yeah.
I do not fluctuate. I used to fluctuate. Yeah. And so we get to think about, like, what armor do you have in front of you that is keeping you safe, or keeping you not only safe, I think that's too easy, keeping you from really knowing yourself.
What came to my mind was the word hidden.
Yeah. Hidden. Oh, I was a big hider.
Yep.
Huge
Keeping
hider.
hidden.
Yes. And so the disarmament comes in. You talk about the soul, and then you talk about these constraints, and you talk, when those two things kind of get into this symbiotic relationship, life becomes easier. You become more whole and you're more grounded.
Yeah,
And there's nothing to fight about.
that's right.
If you don't like it, I'm sorry that you don't like it.
And this is also where, again, I'm going to go back to the power of knowing your spiritual values. Your spiritual values, once you embody them, as Amy talks about, you are unshakable. And there might be something that catches your eye, distracts you for a moment, but you're unshakable. Once those are embodied, meaning that energy is actually a fiber of the tapestry of your field, your internal energy field, you're unshakable. You can be like that bamboo when the strongest wind comes and blows you from side to side, but it won't uproot you. That's the difference. And that's, oh, I'm covered in God bumps. It's why, our spiritual practice, our daily spiritual practice is the most essential thing. It's more essential than anything you do or eat or anything that will sustain you no matter what happens. And I want to encourage everyone, if you do not have a daily spiritual practice, you absolutely must develop it now.
And I think that's important. And I don't know if you are a writer, an artist, a painter. For me, that's like one of the easiest ways to connect to Mother God, universe, is to really, when I'm teaching in my class live, it's like I'm hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
It is not me just teaching. I'm hooked up to universe, Mother God, and I'm using that as a conduit to give information or knowledge or wisdom. And also to create. If you're a creator, hook up to universe, let them support you in your creation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so important for us as writers, artists, even
people who breathe.
Yes. Parents, I'm not a parent, but even like parents, when you're with your child, hook up and make the experience a more of a spiritual experience and a blessing. And, what a wonderful, wonderful time to really hook up to universe and your child.
That's right.
And yourself. And look at things differently. It's not mundane. Life is not mundane. Even going to the grocery store, hook up to that and be like, what a beautiful experience. Be grateful. Let's just open up and just be open and see. I mean, if you're single too, right? Who's at the grocery store, right? So, I mean, it's that your energy totally changes, right? You're not like, I got to go to the grocery store. You're like, oh, I got to go to the grocery store. Like, I think really just try to bring universe into everything that I do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I say Mother God, but universe for everyone else. God, whatever you do. So whatever you do, I don't know, but I say Mother God. But anyways, so I think bringing that to a daily practice for me is more like living life and being in practice in life. I'm not a big meditator. I mean, I do it reluctantly, but it's hard for me at times.
A reluctant meditator. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's so cute.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like I'm able to, sit there and like this for hours. No, I'm a mover. I'm a dancer. So it's, this is what you get.
Yeah. And a dancing meditation. Meditation comes in many different forms.
Oh, yes.
It's all about the connection to the higher self.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even going to the grocery store, I use that. I say that's a spiritual experience for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I enjoy it. I create joy in it.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Comments? Anything that you'd like to bring up, or something you'd like Amy and I to talk about?
Expand on.
Yeah.
Yes, Sue. Is that you still?
I want to share with you. I feel so inspired in my heart.
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
And, we do hope that it inspires you, because we're meant to constantly be shifting who we are, how we are in the world, because we are expansive beings. So the other thing I wanted to add is that for anyone who hasn't heard about our group membership program, one of the things that Amy and I do every single month after our TV show is that we hold an exclusive workshop for our members the following Monday. And this is what we do. We take the theme and we just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's clearly live. And we, answer whatever questions. And sometimes, we can really help to disentangle a lot of the confusion and the fog that happens when we get caught up in our own stuff. And we've just had some incredible breakthroughs, sometimes they're even Amy's and mine. Okay.
Oh, a lot of times. Are you kidding?
So, as you can see, there's this power that is present when we come together as a group.
Yeah.
And we come, I think, from my perspective, into our actual natural state. Our natural state is one of unity and connection. And we get to feel what it's like when the tentacles of our energy are dancing with the others. And there's just this intermingling. And I'm telling you that the heights that we reach are because of the depths that Amy and I are willing to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing is that in our membership, we offer typically every month we have other guest experts.
Yeah. We should
And
invite.
they are so wonderful in that they often will give a free course just to our members. And there have been the most incredible courses that have been gifted that it blows Amy and I away sometimes. We just say, whoa. Yeah. So that's another benefit. What are some of the other benefits, Amy? Oh, you get to, during the shows, your questions, of course, are our priority, and you can submit them before the show or during the show. And, we answer yours first in line.
You get a journal.
Oh, yeah. Get a journal for keeping track of your expansion through our workshops.
Yeah.
And yeah, we think it's a great membership program. So
The link is in the chat.
thank you for that, Savannah. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
And any more questions? And I do want to also give out the $100 hotel thing.
Absolutely. And I cannot believe I forgot that. So I could have used it. Oh, wait, Sue has another question.
Yes. Right? Oh,
Yeah,
no.
go ahead, Sue. Oh, no?
No.
Okay. I thought you did. So is that, okay, yeah, great. So
Put it
that
in the chat
link
box.
actually gives people what, up to $100?
Up to
How does
$100.
that work? Up to $100 off of your hotel stays.
Well, I think you can use it on your car rental also and stuff like that. So it's
Wow.
really awesome. Because if you're going to travel or it's $100, it goes up to $100, depending on how much the hotel is.
Yeah.
So the more expensive
this-
the hotel, the more money off.
Yeah, and this came to us from our show sponsor, and that company
Trinity.
is
Trinity Travel.
Trinity Travel,
Yeah.
which I love the name of, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And it's so great to have sponsors. Great gift for everybody. Yeah, so just copy the link
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
this will not come in any of the materials that follow the show.
Yeah. So
All right, it's only for those people who are here.
yeah, so our gifts are going with the show. You get a free gift from both of us and also the replay that you'll get in your inbox.
Mhm. Anything else? Comments, questions? Anything for you, Aim?
I just want to, I just want to kind of talk about, do a quick comment on, we're here on this earth, and no one said it was supposed to be an easy ride. I don't know how that got into our mentality, that things should just fall into place. And if they don't fall into place, there's something wrong with us. And
I love that.
I don't think, I don't know. I don't know where that situation ever was true for anybody. And so how do we release that so that we could begin to have new beliefs, new thoughts, and new perspectives and about our life? This is our life. And I would also encourage everyone to really examine, what's your philosophy about life? Why are you here? Because nothing's permanent. Life is not supposed to be easy and fall into place. I don't even know one person that's true for. And to stop judging ourselves because we are going through something. But our challenges and what we're going through are our opportunities to love and learn about ourselves even more. And that's really, I believe, our purpose for being here on this earth, is to learn and learn ourselves in such a way that we are fulfilled. We are who we are. Like, we're allowed to be who we are. And so, really examine those things, because I think sometimes, I've been very lucky because I knew what I wanted to be the moment I came, a dancer, right? Artist, dancer. I think I've been very lucky in that. But for someone who grew up differently, which was all these constraints about rules about what life is supposed to be, I think, it's very difficult on people like that.
Which is probably the majority of us.
Yeah,
Right?
I've never entered into that world, but
Mhm.
I could only imagine the bull they got to get, that
Yeah.
they were fed. They tried to feed me that too, but I was like, I'm not eating, I'm not doing that. I don't know. But I reflect on just how difficult and how challenging it could be for many people who have been living in these ideas and constraints about what life is supposed to be, marriage, relationships, parenting, being a child, having parents, so for us to really forge ahead in a new beginning that we desire, not anyone else, then I think it's important for us to really examine our philosophy, examine our beliefs, examine our willingness to let go.
Yeah.
That's kind of what came out right now.
And if I could add something to that, I'd like to remind everyone that you're not doing this alone. You have within you a whole team of energies that are here for that purpose, for you to rely on, to ask for help. And this team is part of your higher self. It's the part of you that is connected to the divinity, the creative source. And so as we go about our day, and Amy talked about, then forging into this new beginning, if we can just remember to constantly be in communication with this team, it's within us. There is nothing outside of us. It's all inside of us. And just ask. Make your voice louder so I can hear. Make my steps clearer. Let me know, what do I need to know in order to do this? And, the more that we practice, and again, this comes from meditation, the more that we practice hearing, that we become very clear in our own steps. And so it's that internal communication that is the most precious thing that we have been given as a gift, but also to remember we are giving to that team. As we rise, as our vibrational frequency rises, so does the vibrational frequency of the team. Why is that important? Because it then gives you access to new information that can only be accessed in a higher vibrational frequency. When that team of yours is raising its vibrational frequency, the team that's working with it is raising its vibrational frequency. It now has higher access to information to feed that team and that team and that team. This is where these dimensions of existence are accessible to us because they're all part of us. And it starts with our acceptance of this truth, number one, and our willingness to be in partnership at all times. One of the things I'll share is that this morning, as I was really just thinking about how grateful I am, I was thinking about how grateful I am for Amy. Amy and I came together through a telesummit that we did together years ago. And I remember feeling this connection to her. And one of the things that I have found with Amy that is so unique is this partnership, this level of partnership where it's like unconditional love. And we have such a mutual respect and honor for each other and who we are. It is the most precious thing. And that's what I encourage each and every person to seek when you're creating relationships. But I also want to tell you that I wasn't always capable of that. There were times where I felt I needed to be competitive, or I felt I needed to, learn this or learn that. And I felt I couldn't be in partnership until I learned that. And so what I want to say is, first off, I am so grateful to you, Amy, and that I've learned so much about partnership through you and through our relationship, and how blessed I am to be here with you every single month and to address these issues of living so that we can all really start to come from a higher place, because we raise our vibrational frequency, and all those that we touch raise their vibrational frequency, and who they touch raises their vibrational frequency, and who they touch raises their vibrational frequency. And hello, I mean, we're on such a ride. It's incredible. So thank you for you, Amy.
Oh, thank you, Marcy, for you and those kind words. My goodness.
Yeah.
I'm in acceptance.
Mhm.
There used to be a time like, no big deal. I'm taking it all in, and yeah, you are also a beautiful partner. And Marcy's honest. I mean, she'll just say it like it is. So
Yeah.
and she'll be like, let me check in with myself before I answer that question.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a beautiful partnership. Thank you, Marcy.
Yeah.
And I think we hit our time, unless anyone has any questions or comments.
Yeah. Sue, you have something to say?
Yes. Oh, my heart is so touched.
Mm.
I feel like crying. I really do. I felt alone my whole life. And I know I'm connected to the non-physical, but to see you, to see your connection and your expression, and know that in physical form, okay, I'm unconditional love to my kids, but they're my kids. But to
Mhm.
see two beautiful women being so clear, self-expressive, owning who you are, demonstrating the connection, and me feeling and being connected and joining you in this energy flow. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I know where I need to go now. I know what exists.
Yes.
And I know the world of being alone it's not real. It's not my world. But you're showing me what I always knew was destiny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
sister.
so welcome.
welcome.
And thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that with us. And this is how we bring heaven to earth.
Yeah.
This is true heaven on earth. It is allowing ourselves to love and be loved.
Yeah.
Allowing ourselves to be in our true nature. We don't have to play any games or be anything other than who we are. And we do hope to be an inspiration for women everywhere, because we are being called to come forward in mass. And this is how we have to come forward. This is it. In all of our truth and power, empowered, knowing where the power comes from.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Love
you,
you.
Sue.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Oh, you
you.
gave me goosebumps, Sue.
Yeah. She gave me goosebumps too. I call them God bumps,
But
but
that was
yeah.
directly from Sue, yeah.
that was from Sue. Amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope to see you all back here again next month. We have some great guests lined up. And of course, deep conversation to take us all exactly where we need to be and to stay centered and strong and empowered.
Yes. All right. So we'll
I
see you.
love you all.
Yeah, we'll see you next month. And thank you, Savannah, for supporting us on this.
Yeah.
And
Oh, if I could just ask if anybody has any comments they want to leave in the chat about something that was an aha moment, how you were touched by what you experienced. It's wonderful for everybody to see it in there.
yeah, and we'd love to share it to our audience too,
Yeah.
because we think we have a very special program.
Program. Yeah, we do. We know we do.
I love you.
Oh, thank you,
Love
Sue.
you
We love
too.
you.
I love you too.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Bye.
Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody who
Yes.
came and gave us your precious time and
Mhm.
your beautiful energy and hearts.
Mm.
Love you so, so much. I'm
Love you.
here for you. I'm here for me. I'm here for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all here together.
All right. I'm going to.
Love you.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.